Hi. I really should have done this video like 2 weeks ago. Because I'm about to talk about I'm about to talk about her, which when I saw it, it was still in a limited release at the UCI theater, but now it's, as of this video, it's in most theaters, and it's only in a couple of days time before like the Oscar nominations get come in. So I just want to get out of the way, but hers like has been one of the big Oscar contenders, or at least the big like word of mouth, like one of the best movies of all time. One like you get those usually every year. I mean, like the trailers have always been about like most timely original movie of the year, or it's like it's a movie that captures a point in time and yada 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 and that kind of stuff. And so after some time thinking about it, I think it does really hold up to that to like at least most of that praise. Like her, if you haven't known, if you don't know the story, it's I'll try to keep it short. It's about a walking phoenix who plays this heartbroken writer who is going through like a divorce, about to go through a tough divorce, and in the midst of that, he gets interested in this new OS advertisement that basically says like this OS is so advanced. It's literally just like a human mind that develops like an artificial intelligence that acts like human. And so he gets it, and then like it's customized to his needs and personalities, and you have the Samantha played voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and eventually they sort of can know their own relationship together. It's like I don't know like, and like one of the things like that makes this movie more interesting than like, I feel like we've seen this kind of appearance before. I know we have. I'm not sure if like this exact, but at least I know there's like at least this kind of story about like humans falling in love with like a synthetic or an artificial intelligence, and most of those movies question the judgment of whether or not that is ethical, or like, can you really love something that's fake or it's programmed to sort of please you. In this movie, it does like because this movie takes it's very vaguely in the future. Like you could see this kind of like this movie takes in Los Angeles, even though it looks more like New York. But honestly, like it could look like the way like the technology is like it could be is presented. It could probably like be. It's very plausible within like at the very least 5-10 years. And the great thing about it is like no one in this society except like his ex-wife, played by Rooney Mara, who's of course like, because she criticizes the relationship more, probably just because like he had his own feelings as someone in that relation, as like her husband, rather than the actual relationship between the two themselves. Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson's voice. But like no one in the society criticizes or like questions the validity of this relationship in terms of like if it's genuine, because it does feel genuine. And like again, it's one of those movies where like it's fantastic because of the performances. Joaquin Phoenix is absolutely heartbreaking. It's like he's not like one of those, like, it's not a stereotypical social, like a complete social outcast in this movie. He has friends. Like he hangs out a lot with his boss friend. He talks with his boss friend, played by Chris Pratt. He has this strong friendship with Amy Adams and her husband, and even she goes through her own little subplot. So he's not a social outcast, but he has enough of a friendship, and he even goes out on a couple of dates in the movie with real people. One of them played by Olivia Wilde, who of course is beautiful. But you could totally you can totally recognize like how like he feels like he has to try. You get a sense like he has to sort of he's trying, or he has to feel like he's forced to try to connect because he's sort of he's busy with kind of dealing with a kind of heartbreak inside, and that's a very understandable relationship because like coming from like my own experiences, that kind of bitter questioning of going out there. Another great Scarlett Johansson. She has like a lot of people like she does great vocal work, but like I think you can always tell it's her. You can always imagine it's Scarlett Johansson because she's Scarlett Johansson. Of course she does. Of course she's beautiful. But like the way like I like the cinematography in this movie because like this it's great cinematography. It's like a lot of beautiful shots, but like it's not a standout say Walter Mitty, but like for a movie of this ilk and like in this fake sci-fi, it's very like the notable thing about it. It's like its color palette. There's a lot of soft, warm colors that it feels inviting, but it's also a little alien because of the technology and the premise and so forth. It's a very pleasant looking movie. It's a very inviting movie aesthetically. But one of the things I found interesting is like there's a lot of you, and I think that's kind of represented some of the trailers, is that Joaquin Phoenix. There's a lot of close-ups of Joaquin Phoenix, so where like he's like, well, he's basically like me. I'm all alone. He's basically like he takes up most of the frame, but you know, and that's when then you hear like Samantha Scarlett Johansson in his pocket. But like the way it's framed, you can always like imagine she's like sitting next to him, like you see in a lot of TV shows. It's like a lot of people sitting on a bench, like they're not looking at each other, but they're still having a dialogue. It's kind of like that. It's one of those like relationships like portrayed and like how like because the question is not whether or not like there's no like question about is it ethical to love something that's not real, but like it's real or it's not human per se, but it's about like it's like a normal like romantic comedy. It's a small subversion of it because like it makes like because usually a lot of these movies like it's the guy trying to get the object of his affection, but when the object of his affection is literally an object that's designed to like sort of appeal to his needs, the movie raises the question of whether or not that makes like, well, her love is real, but also most importantly is his love, his genuine love for her is like genuine, or is it false because she's an object, or like the fact that he's still talking to an AI. And there's no like robot fantasy thing. There's no like actual like robot thing you can plan in. Sorry, not that futuristic yet. But where was I going? Where was I going with this? But it always like feels there's he's still alone. Oh yeah, he's still alone in the end. Like in terms of being physically alone, he's so sort of talking. He's so technically talking with himself, but like with the AI. But it's in a world where this AI is actually it becomes like a wide release thing. It's not like an exclusive like high price thing. It's basically like it's basically like everything's like an touch screen. It's basically like a iPod Nano, or iPhone. No, it's integral. But oh yeah, fun fact. You probably heard of this already, but if you have Siri, try asking her about her. It's actually kind of funny. She hates it. Oh Siri, I hate you. No offense. Please don't hate me. Where was I? Another great performance. Amy Adams. I mean, between American Hustle, Man of Steel, and this, she's had a fantastic year just in theaters. Now, well, like her work in Man of Steel is fine, and she definitely deserved the Golden Globe for in American Hustle because she's the two leads in that movie. They were the secret weapons of that movie in terms of comedy and like character work. But Amy Adams in this movie is absolutely astounding. I think she really feels like a genuine person. She has this great like philosophy and way of like just socializing with people, and this whole like again it's she goes through the story arc where she has these she's having this rocky relationship with her husband, and at some point she basically goes like fuck it. I just want to be happy. I just want to like have happiness in my life. And it's a very relatable trait, and it's just, and that's kind of what, like, it's a good reason to explain why you go into relationships. It's like you want to feel like some kind of happiness or connection, and she just makes, it's just so, it feels so genuine, so real, that she's kind of one of my favorite characters. And she has this awesome subplot where she's a video game designer, and like, this is kind of a side tangent, but this is like Spike Jonze, who wrote and directed this, as well as other great movies. Like, he has the strangest idea of video games, because okay, she's making a game. It's basically Cooking Mama, or like it's like called Super Mom. It has this like all this satirical element. It's like feed your kids, 150 Super Mom points, then minus 300. It's like you gave them too much sugar, and it's like drive your kid to school as quickly as you can. And she's like hitting cars and running to the side of the streets. And it's like, yeah, gold medal. And then like she walks, like you see like the video game mom avatars walk down the screen with cupcakes. It's like, you're a super mom, 50 points for envy from other moms. And there's another sort of like running joke where Joaquin Phoenix's character, he's playing this sort of this like Journey like S game where he's like, the way he's controlling the screen, okay, it's a projector. It's a projector, and then like this is how he's moving the character, and this is how it's basically Connect, but it wasn't broken. And he comes across this teddy bear, this like polar bear, like anthropomorphized teddy bear. It's like, hey fella, how are you? It's like, fuck you, you fucking asshole. It's like. And like, it's a joke. It's like, it comes out of nowhere. And like, yeah, that's one of the interesting things about this movie that like, I never got from the advertising at all. This movie is actually really, really raunchy for a movie it's handling a very delicate subject matter about like love and human connection and all that stuff. There's a lot of raunchy humor besides that, the cursing teddy bear, which like, it's both out of place because it's honestly it's basically just stuff that came straight out of Ted, even though I think this was in production a little longer. But it's one of those things, like, it feels like it makes it feel like it's its own kind of movie, has its own kind of sense of tone and sense of tone, like an tone. Because it can go from like very funny and very raunchy stuff. There's a scene early on in the movie where this is before he ever hears of the OS thing, so he's alone. So he goes on this sex hotline, and it just goes to this random chick, and they're having the foreplay. They're like, it's just doing like the whole foreplay thing, and then all of a sudden, as they're like doing all the pillow talk stuff, like the girl on the headset goes like, "Choke me with the dead cat in the corner." It's like, and like this entire for the rest of that scene, Joaquin Phoenix is like, I'm choking you with the dead cat. It's around your neck. You're strangling on the tail. It's like, it's actually really funny because it goes on for like at least 2 or 3 more minutes. It's like the most awkward thing ever. It's just so funny. It's like one of those reactions that makes it look really funny. Also. But yeah, like, it goes from that very, like, oh yeah, that reminds me, that before I forget, like, in the middle of that, before that scene, he's having these, like, sort of cutaways to, like, him, like, imagining, like, because earlier that day, he saw pictures of this naked pregnant woman, and, like, that entire time, before, like, the dead cat comes in, he's thinking about doing this naked pregnant woman. It's weird, and then the cat comes in, and it's just like, don't watch this movie with your parents. They won't get it. You'll feel awkward. No one wins. That's what you learn these lessons the hard way when you review indie movies my age. But it's such a This is like, it is one of my best. It is like one of my favorite films of the year because it feels so its own thing. Like, again, it's like it goes from really raunchy and dirty humor to having these really like nice philosophical beats of just just like questioning our humanity and like why we have relationships or develop connections with other people, to like these very sweet, even genuine moments between Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson's voice, and this great soundtrack with Arcade Fire and Karen L. I wonder why the Moon song isn't on the iTunes yet, and why Super Symmetry from Arcade Fire is still an album only from Reflector, from their album Reflector, though it is a good album. But anyway, there's like, honestly, there's nothing really much, like, I don't want to spoil more than I already have. There's a lot of like, there's a bit of a twist, not exactly a twist, never mind. This is one of those like shift things that like sort of leads to a sort of a bittersweet ending that sort of cleans up all the ties. Nice, but again, why this is one of my favorite films of the year is because it's, again, so totally its own thing. It lives in its own like sci-fi universe, establishes its own like sort of vaguely sci-fi setting. It has like a very distinct set of like character archetypes. They are familiar archetypes, but they're played with in a way that doesn't feel like it's it's stereotypical. There's enough like, it's familiar, but there's changes that like make you appreciate it better. And it has some really good philosophy, and like it's sweet, it's funny, it's really dirty. It's absolutely its own thing, and it's sort of a wonder to see, and you should totally see it now instead of see this before the Oscars. Definitely see it. It's worth it. I'll be back. Jeremy apparently will be back, and Corey and maybe others will be reviewing Jack Ryan Ghost Protocol. I mean, Into Darkness. I mean, just Jack Ryan. Right. So bye. Thank you for watching.